Hey everyone, Farmington Mayor Nate Duckett. Thank you for joining us for the Mayor's Table. Today we've got an exciting episode with the President and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, Jamie Church. Jamie's going to get you caffeinated with all the great things that are happening here for local businesses, all the resources that are made available through the Chamber, and why you need to get into a new career and start it right here in Farmington. Hi everyone, Farmington Mayor Nate Duckett. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Mayor's Table. We're well into 2021, and I thought this was a great chance to bring on our special guest today, which is Miss Jamie Church, the President CEO of the Farmington Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
Maybe even kind of a local celebrity, maybe.
Oh.
Well, I mean, you're on the radio, radio show now.
My own radio show.
You know, you're going to do a podcast.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of cool things that the president and CEO of the Chamber's out and doing.
That's right.
I say maybe more of a rock star, especially over the past, 54 weeks or whatever, as the Chamber's become a really big advocate for what I would say is a balanced approach to how we've kind of dealt with the pandemic and COVID and making the businesses a priority.
That's right.
Which is the Chamber's job. You're an advocate for local business, and I know you've maybe more than ever, and I'll ask you this. I mean, has this past year been the most dedicated that you have been in learning about things that are going on in Santa Fe, paying attention to the global political scene and how that impacts us?
Oh, my goodness, yes. So just a little history. I had only been the Chamber CEO a year. I came on in January of 2019. And had some plans and things I wanted to do. And I knew what the Chamber was about. Obviously, I'd been on the board of directors for 5 years, and I felt I had some good ideas and initiatives. And we were building membership, and we were really, we had so many events. Every month we had probably 5 in-person networking events. So we were very event heavy, especially on those networking. We had our young professionals, and we had our focus on Farmington coffees, and we had our business after hours, and we were we had a lot of networking events happening. And then COVID happened. And I will be honest that there were probably, once we decided that we were closing our office, and we decided basically on a Wednesday, we came into work, and I could tell from some of what I'd heard the governor saying that probably we were going to go into a shutdown here in Farmington. So I met with my staff, and it's a small staff. I have one full-time and one part-time, and said by the end of today, we will all have to figure out how we're working remotely and running the Chamber remotely. And so we all have to figure out how you're going to check your email from home, figure out how we're going to get this done, because I don't think we're coming back in the office after today. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah. The governor did a press conference that afternoon, and we are non-essential. The Chamber, while we do all this advocacy work, we are not essential like a financial institution
Sure.
or in that kind of thing. So we went home, and I spent probably a good 3 days completely unsure. I didn't know what I was going to do. I said, I barely know what I'm doing. I've been in the job a year, and now I have to do this remotely, and businesses are closed, and we can't have any events, and I'm not sure how this is going to look. So I joke that on the third day, I pulled myself out of the basement off the couch where I'd been hiding for 3 days trying to figure out what I was going to do, and said, all right, what can we do? We can still advocate for business, and we are a trusted source of information. So what we can do is make sure we are communicating with our chamber members regularly with reliable information, so they don't have to go and hunt this information out. They're being, slammed with new terms like PPP and PPE and CARES Act and this and that and remote workers and how do you keep, your employees engaged? Are you going to have to lay them off? Are you going to have to furlough them? So it was like, let's try to help them get the information that they need quickly. So we did these business impact surveys, and we tried to get feedback from them, and then we just started being a place where you could get the information. And we didn't come up with the information. We shared from reliable sources such as the city or San Juan County or the hospital or the schools. So we just made it a point to be communicating with our members directly and also on Facebook. And so I think that we got a lot of feedback right off the bat that our members really appreciated that. The other thing that we did was throughout 2020, we put every member on a grace period. Nobody was dropped. So whether they could be open part-time or not at all, or they were a restaurant, we just said, you know what, we're here to advocate for you, and we'll catch up with you in 2021, and we hope you'll still, be a chamber member, but we're not dropping anybody, and we're advocating for everybody in small business. So that's kind of how I hate the word pivot because it was so overused, so I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use the word transitioned quickly to another model that was completely different than anything we'd ever done before. And I also had staff. I was trying to make sure we're busy working from home.
Right.
So it was just a very interesting time for a chamber director.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Just a little bit interesting.
Just a little bit interesting.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jamie, you just said a whole bunch of things that maybe some people didn't know that the chamber, well, one maybe did for the businesses. The perception, I think, and as an individual who, when they opened up their business, this was 2010, the chamber became one of my most essential resources in getting the word out about my new business and networking with people. And in 2020, we didn't do a whole lot of networking face-to-face, and that's a lot about what the chamber does. I think about business after hours. We had a monthly business after hours where you're highlighting a business and bringing business people together. But then you implemented the Welcome to Farmington, or the Focus on Farmington coffees,
right,
which became another chance to be in another business. Again, celebrating this community and welcoming people, new people in. That was kind of the encouraging component of it. The FYP events, the different business meetings. I mean, it's almost interesting now to think about how many times I got to see those folks prior to 2020, and then in 2020, if I got to see them, I was like, hey, we're all still here. That's great.
Right.
How do you see going forward here in 2021? What's the plan now as we're starting, we're turquoise as of right now, at least I hope when this airs, we're still turquoise. But how are you going to see the path forward for the chamber and its members?
Well, we're definitely going to phase back in some of these networking events. I don't think we'll do as many as we were doing every month. I think we really, having had a break from them, sort of a forced break, but we did kind of see, all right, what was really impactful and what were the things where people really built those relationships. Because I'm a firm believer that you can advertise all day long, but where the business really happens is in personal relationships. It's all about, I know you and you know me and I trust you and you know what I do in my business, and we see each other. And so when somebody says, oh, I'm looking for someone who does this, it's like, oh, I know somebody. Let me give you their business card. Let me refer them. So I think we'll definitely continue with that because I think that's very important, and we'll phase these back in. One very successful event that we did in 2019, it was the Professional Women's Summit, and it was a sold-out event. And wouldn't you know, right off after we do this really successful event, 2020, and we can't do it in person, so we did a virtual event. And it was great, and we still had a sold out event, but we're gonna bring that back. It was so popular, and I think that could grow. And so we'll definitely be doing the Professional Women's Summit again. We've been doing a virtual series in February, actually January, February, March, and April. It's been a lunch and learn series called From Unemployed to Entrepreneur. Focus being that if during COVID you maybe lost your job, or your job's going to be phasing out, or you sat at home for a year and had a lot of time to think about your life, and you're like, you know what, I don't want to do what I'm doing anymore. I've always wanted to be whatever. And so we have had a series where we bring people in as presenters, and it's Carmen from the SBDC and people who have all this information on how do you start a business, what do you need to know, what kind of insurance do you need to have, are you a sole proprietor, an LLC, all these things. Do you need an accountant? Should you have QuickBooks? Just really helping these small business entrepreneurs get started. And so that was another great thing that we've been doing recently, and we'd like to continue that. We're looking at doing an in-person entrepreneur fair in probably June. And as you mentioned, everything kind of depends on the numbers. So we start planning something, and I always am like, well, we'll probably do it in June, or we'll phase it back in, because I hate to get something started and then we have to pull back. So, But we'll see. But we'd like to do something.
Well, the numbers are good right now,
which
is positive, and certainly, I continue to watch the global news, and I think the vaccine's having a very positive impact on our area. Europe is suffering from not getting the vaccine distributed, and they're closing things back down. So this is going to be the encouraging part for me as a business owner. I need to keep my employees healthy. I want to make sure that when people come into to my restaurant or my business, they know this is a clean environment, and individuals there are dedicated to keeping it that way, because that's the key to staying open.
Right.
For everybody. So, what advice can you give from a chamber director position? And this comes now after a 60-day session in Santa Fe, legislative session, where we saw some really crazy bills coming through. What would you say to the business community right now as they're looking, hopefully to a successful 2021? I think it's booming right now to get into 2022.
I would say don't take that emphasis off of health and safety, because even if we are at turquoise or beyond, whatever's beyond turquoise, or we're up to 75% or 150, 200 people at a gathering, this has been a very different experience. Well, different, gosh, none of us have ever experienced a pandemic since 1918, and I don't think I was alive back in 1918, but don't forget, that's always going to be important. And if you can be the restaurant or the hotel or the retail space that always is providing hand sanitizer, masks, making sure you have on your door, your cleaning practices, that's going to be important to people for a long, long time, probably forever. And so I just think you always need to focus on,
don't say forever,
not masks, but just saying, hey, we clean, not masks. I want masks to, done. But I think people are, okay, so for restaurants, if you can open a restaurant and have an outdoor space, do it. I mean, everyone loves to eat outdoors, and we found that during this time. Get an outdoor space.
Can I say that I think that the outdoor spaces that have been developed around town are far overdue?
Yes.
And maybe the one good thing that came out of COVID was that the restaurant owners said, we have to do this.
Right.
And this is why we live here, is the 280, 300 days of sunshine a year. People want that. They want to be out there underneath these blue skies. So I think that's been a really good thing.
Oh, I think so too. And I think every time there's a challenge, there's an opportunity aligned with it.
Sure.
So if you have been thinking, I've always wanted to open a restaurant, you're looking at spaces. If you can find that space where you can put an outdoor patio, that's going to be gold. Even if, hopefully, if this, we never go through this again, people want to eat outside.
Yes.
And we haven't had enough of those outdoor spaces. So I think, again, there's opportunity there. I think there were lessons learned. I think the community has done a great job of supporting local. And we pushed that message. The city, we worked on something together with our Shop Local, Farmington, San Juan County. I think for every city, town in America, they were talking shop local, support local, because that became more important than ever before, is that we knew that some of these businesses and restaurants weren't going to make it through. We knew that by the time we could open up again, there were going to be some that just said, we can't do it, and we're leaving or we're moving. And we saw that happen in our own community.
Yes.
So I think that emphasis on supporting local was a message heard loud and clear, and I hope we remember that. I hope that just because, we can stop wearing masks and our numbers are good and we're out doing things, let's not forget that we need to support our local businesses and our local restaurants.
Well, I'll tell you what, the innovation that you're speaking about, all challenges bring forth those opportunities, and Grubhub and the DoorDashes and the food delivery services, those things absolutely exploded in 2020. Almost to the point that it's, now that they've got in-dining and they have those things going on. We talked about this in a newspaper article recently, the need to get people back in the workforce, and specifically in the service workforce. But it expands even to trucking companies are down people right now, and anywhere, and this is happening probably across the United States.
It is happening
but
across
specifically
the United
here, it's, you and I are aware of these things, and I encourage people, all the time, make sure you're talking to folks about opportunities for jobs to get back into that, because the public's demanding that. Certainly, if you drove down the streets right now of Farmington, I don't know, it doesn't matter to me what time of day you're driving on those streets, they're packed.
That's right.
Main Street is packed. People are here, they're coming from all over, and that speaks well to what our community is, and it's a retail and business hub that is a great place to come. It's a great place to be.
It is.
And one of the things I love about what the Chamber does is that kind of advocacy for that bigger picture of what Farmington is. And there is a retirement committee, I believe, that the Chamber is kind of the foundation of, so to speak, and I'd love to hear a little bit how that's going. And other ideas that you have for folks when we're talking about our community, what you've learned about it over this past 54 weeks or whatever.
Well, the Retire Northwest New Mexico Committee is a very active committee, and the purpose of that committee is to recruit, I guess you would say, or attract active retirees to our community, because we know we have a very affordable cost of living. We have great weather. We have all these outdoor amenities that seniors are looking for, like, fishing. We have some of the best fly fishing. And I don't have to tell the listeners that we have some jewels in this community.
Great golf courses.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, and just that you can be on an adventure every weekend. You can be looking for arches, or you can be heading out and going to, Chaco or Bistai. And I went on a moonlight hike at the Bistai recently. What a cool experience. I mean, there's so many amazing things here. But one of the things that we have here that the seniors, that we did some focus groups with some people who've lived here and retired here. And the Encore program at San Juan College is amazing. They offer so many classes for $5 to these seniors. And that's like, that Encore program is one of the best in the country, and it's right here in Farmington. We have one of the best libraries in the state. I think ours is the best library in the state.
It's the most beautiful. I think it's ranked as one of the most beautiful libraries in the United States.
In the United States.
Yeah.
So we have all of these things here, the Civic Center, when they can open again, and they bring in the theater and the shows, the museum. When you think about what we have right here in Farmington, it's pretty incredible. And so we have a lot of people that are getting ready to retire. It's funny, we get a lot of calls from Chicago because the weather's terrible.
Yeah.
They want to get out of Chicago.
Midwest people, sure.
Yeah, Midwest people. And so but we know we're lacking in a couple of things, and one of those is that sort of 55 and older housing, gated community housing developments. So we did a focus group recently with a few developers and just said, why hasn't this been developed here? And got their feedback, and it was interesting information. But we do think there's potential there for somebody to come in and maybe do a development like that, because I think that would be just the one last piece of the puzzle here, is some of those kind of housing that seniors are looking for. So that is a very active committee. One thing the Chamber does, I think we've done really well in this last 2 years, is collaborating with other community agencies or organizations. So whether it's the city or Four Corners Economic Development or the SBDC, my opinion or my feeling on it, it isn't just the Chamber, because we will not be successful. The Chamber will be irrelevant if we don't change what we do. So we've got to be talking to Arvin at Four Corners Economic Development. We have to be sharing the stories of the hospital. We have to be sharing what the school is doing. And we have to be thinking of all of us regionally and how we're all working together to make this a place, because that's what brings businesses here, and that's what retains people. And that's what retains the young professionals. We don't want them leaving. The Farmington Chamber just recently did an MOU with the Dene Chamber of Commerce to really help that collaboration and that partnership. And there are many businesses on the Navajo Nation, and they want information and resources. And so we want to help in whatever way we can and collaborate. So we just signed an MOU with the Dene Chamber. But we're really thinking much more regionally. And I think there's a lot of potential. And I was telling people just the other day that prior to COVID, there was so much going on with the outdoor recreation, with the film industry, with retirement, all these initiatives, all this stuff was just really ready to just go. And then we came to this screeching halt. But those things are still there. We're just we're getting our wheels turning again. It just takes time to bring everybody back to the table, to get those ideas going again, to start those events again. So I was encouraged to see Connie Mack will be happening. I think that's a great step forward. We're planning our chili event. Might look a little bit different, but we're planning a chili in October event. So
I think you bring up I want to capitalize on that event comment, because I believe that events are a key for getting people here so that they can see what this community is made of. We're talking about big events like the Riverfest event, and we're having a river event this year. It's not going to be called Riverfest, but we need more of those things based around it's a mountain biking event, right? It's a hiking event. It's you're doing the chili event. I'd love to have more chili events. I mean, chili is so important to the culture of New Mexico, and we've got one big event, but I'd love to see us expand on those things. And I just encourage people who are watching right now that if it's in your heart and it's in your passion and you want to make an event happen, we've got some really great resources here who can help direct you in that way. And the CVB, Tanya Stinson, they've got some great information that can help individuals kind of put an event together. It takes a lot of work, but once we can get those anchor events here, then it's going to be a year after year. It's just going to grow and become bigger and stronger, and I think that's what we need to see. So I'm glad you brought that comment up. I've come to the opinion, and this is after doing some recon in Moab and talking to their chamber people and business development group there, that it's tourism that's the key that's going to unlock the door to all the potential of all the different initiatives that we have struck out on. I mean, if you want somebody to retire here, first thing they're going to do is research that online. They're going to fly here, they're going to drive here, whatever the case may be, and they're going to make that determination on the streets. We've actually had somebody determined to move here for retirement based upon Google Maps, and they drove the streets of Farmington on Google Maps and said, we were amazed by how clean your community was, and we can see all these streets, and you've got bike lanes, and we didn't see any graffiti. I mean, that's how they based the judgment to move here. So whether it's on the internet, but when they get here, it's so important for us as a chamber director. I mean, how much emphasis do you place on customer service?
Oh, everything.
Right.
It's all about customer service. Everything is all about customer service. And I always, you get one shot at impression, that good impression. And I met with somebody the other day. The chamber, I would not have ever thought of ourselves as a marketing organization because we were in advocacy, but we meet with our members all the time on marketing. And I was meeting with a member recently who's they know they're going to be able to be expanding business and they're going to start getting busier. And he wanted me to give him honest feedback. So I did. And a lot of it was on customer service. And so I think it is key, but it's not just about knowing what goes in the coffee drink. It's being welcoming to that person who's coming here from out of state. And I think when you've lived in an area for a long, long time, you stop seeing it from the eyes of somebody who's just coming here. And they're seeing this neat downtown street that we have. And they're seeing these amazing, the Shiprock, and they're seeing the Bista, and they're seeing these amazing rock formations, and they're seeing these blue sky and this clean air and all of these things.
Sure.
And we forget because we're here every single day and we start to take it for granted. So I think that customer service and being friendly and knowing about your town, that's another thing. Know what we have here. Don't send people away, because we have so much to do right here. And I haven't heard yet on the water park. I don't know what the status of that is, but I know
it will be opening.
Oh, good. Great. I heard it here first. Okay. Great. But I mean, I think we have so much here to say, well, we have this, and this, and you can do this day and this day, and just stay right around in our community. So, but you need to know what those things are.
We have a very special city, and where I believe that the public component and the private component really complement one another. But the customer service thing to me is you're using all five senses to truly understand what other people perceive about this place that we call home. Mm-hmm. Whether it's, and I found, anytime I see trash on the street, I pick it up, because I think if somebody is new here, what are they going to think if they see the trash on the street? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's even down to that minute thing. Walking into a business, am I hearing music? I walked into one of our restaurants here the other day, and there was no music playing. It was super quiet. People were whispering to each other across the table, and I walked up to the front, and I was like, hey, do you guys have any music in here? Oh, yeah, it must have turned off. But all those things add into the ambiance of what is Farmington. Mm-hmm. And I know the CVB has got a great program that they use for customer service, and it's really built around knowledge, knowing what we have here and how do you tell people about it. And I encourage folks to, if you own a business, especially put your employees through that, because if we all work together, this business is going to support, the efforts of this business. And I've been to Chicago a couple times, and down the $1 Million Mile, where all the shops are at. I don't know how many times I've been there, and I'll talk to an individual like, hey, do you guys have something like this? No, but I know a guy over here in this other shop who does. Mm-hmm. And that's the type of mentality we have to have, where we understand that we are supporting one another just by the very basic actions of creating a great place that people perceive as a place I want to come back to and tell others about.
Right. And that's exactly what was so great about the coffees, the focus on Farmington coffees.
Sure.
Because that's what that was all about, is moving the coffees from place to place to place. So we highlighted all these things, and it got people meeting, that somebody they didn't know, and just exactly that, so they could share if they met somebody, company came in or whatever, they knew about all these things about Farmington, because I had somebody who said, I've been here 22 years and I have never been in this place, this museum or whatever. And I was shocked by that. But, I think sometimes we do tend to live in our own little worlds. And so I hope we can get back to that. And customer service, I think people think it's just about the restaurant worker. It's not. It's every employee in every place is going to be confronted at one time by somebody asking directions or coming in and asking a question, or they just moved here and they're coming into your office to get something going for their home or whatever. Everybody needs to be trained in customer service, and they need to believe in their community and be ready to promote their community and make it thrive. And they
Absolutely.
need to believe in their community.
Jamie, what do you think about downtown?
I love it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You see it as a great opportunity for
I do.
entrepreneurs? And,
If I had 10 of me, I have 10 ideas for stores
Yeah.
and things downtown. Absolutely.
we need a bookstore, cafe type place
We
downtown.
do. We do.
A spin cycle place. We were talking about it earlier with the
We need
cafe. I
a
love this
fly
idea.
fishing demo place where you could get
Yeah.
a fly rod and all the equipment and the vest and all that stuff you need for fly
Like an
fishing. I
outdoor-
don't even know. And practice your casting
Sure.
and
Like an outdoor recreation concierge
Yeah.
type shop where you can go in and like,
Absolutely.
all right, where do I need to go do these things?
Right.
And that person can direct them, and there's somebody you can call that's going to give them a tour. And
Where do we get a box lunch? How do we go? Where do we find it? Do we need a guide? And I mean, I see so much opportunity now that the downtown is finished, and I love the roundabouts. In fact, that's another event I had early in COVID when the roundabouts were going in, is a family bike day. So you have to block off Main, but you get all these families with their bikes, and you have the kids learn not just about bike safety, but how to navigate a roundabout.
That's a
And
great
some
idea.
adults actually could learn
Sure.
too on their bikes. But it would all be bike friendly, and you could do this whole thing and loop it and go around the roundabouts and learn how to signal and watch. And, you could have little kids all the way up to seniors. I mean, it's a great idea.
Yeah, I
so
love
it's
it.
just one of
Again,
those
another
things.
event.
Yeah, bring people downtown.
Yes.
We have little, outside food like a taste of Farmington, and all the restaurants and coffee shops, and have their little what's their specialty. So
Sure.
you've got Boone's Thai with his Thai food, and you've got Monica with her tacos, but you have all these people learning roundabouts on a bike, and it's
Yeah.
just fun. It's outdoors, and anyway. So
see,
that's
lots of great ideas coming from the president CEO at the Chamber of Commerce.
So I
But,
said I need 10 of me to do them all, but
Jamie, you've moved over to the Quality Center for Business
Yes.
at San Juan College now,
Yes.
which is a very strategic move because it puts you into the same building as the Small Business Association. Obviously, San Juan College, we have the incubator there, the maker space. We're also going to be seeing now, and Foresaid, of course,
Yes.
Four Corners Economic Development. Now, the food hub's going to be kicking off too
Yes.
here, I think, in June.
yes.
And that last year was a huge success for folks, and again, it's from the chamber's perspective in growing businesses, the agricultural side, having somewhere where you can go and order fresh, locally sourced food. I even met the young lady who's growing the mushrooms that are being sold on that, and
Yeah.
that's on the San Juan College website. This is what she's going to be doing full time between now and October, is growing mushrooms.
Isn't that great?
So you're you'll be able to support your family through this endeavor. Is there opportunities there for individuals? I mean, you can still join the chamber as an agricultural business. And
Yes.
yeah.
You can join the chamber of everything from an individual at $75 a year all the way up to the large corporations that have 300-400 employees. Everybody can join the Chamber of Commerce. And in fact, Amy and Aaron from the Food Hub are going to be our guest presenters in our entrepreneur, or for our series this time, From Unemployed to Entrepreneur, talking about career and
Right.
entrepreneurship in food-related businesses. And one of the things they have now is the Commercialization Kitchen. So if you're growing mushrooms, or I've got a salsa garden and I want to market my salsa, I can use that Commercialization Kitchen with all of its licenses and things, and I can create salsa and bottle or can it, and then I can go over to the makerspace and make a label that's got some cool, neat design that has to do with Farmington, and then I can build that business, ship that thing, the salsa out of the area, but highlight what we have here. So, I mean, this is all fitting together, and that is one of the reasons for the move, that we made our move in October, was we just really felt like we needed to do more of that kind of bouncing ideas off of each other in the hallway. And that, the hallway of the Quality Center for Business, I see Arvin and I see Carmen and I see Amy and Aaron, and we can talk about what's going on and how do we help these entrepreneurs succeed? How do we help them grow their business, move out of the incubator,
Right.
go into an accelerator, and then build their business and be successful? And the chamber's part of that.
I just think the way you've just framed the fact that what has happened here is the public entities have created spaces with the equipment to quite literally just, for the minimal cost.
Yes.
to your point, the salsa garden. I got to buy the seeds. I got to water the plants. I'm going to grow the veggies, but then I can take all that to a commercial kitchen, which, by the way, they've got individuals who are there who are to assist you in how that works. Then you go to the makerspace and you create the. So again, you're creating the label. All of this is being provided at minimal cost.
Oh, minimal cost.
And so for folks who are looking for opportunities, for location neutral jobs, stay at home jobs, these are the kind
exactly.
of we have the resources here for you. We need to celebrate that and talk about that a lot more, especially now as we're coming out of the year of COVID and moving forward where we're going to get back to some normalcy. So thank you for giving that reference on that.
Yes, absolutely. There's so much right here to help you start a business, grow a business, and succeed.
Jamie, you're a big-time cheerleader for our community, and I can't thank you enough for what you do and your staff. And the communication this past year has been excellent. Your advocacy in Santa Fe. I mean, we could spend probably another 30 minutes talking about just Santa Fe alone and the things that are going on there. But I don't want to take up too much more of your time and want to make sure people are still tuned in. But
I could talk forever about the community. So
that's right. We're very passionate about it. Is there anything else you want to make sure that the public? Obviously the Chamber of Commerce has a website.
Yes, we have a website.
Facebook page.
We do. We have a very active Facebook page, and we are open now. So our offices are open, and you can come by and visit us up at the Quality Center, have a cup of coffee. I'll probably have my mug out there. I always have coffee available for at all times. So stop by and see us. Visit all of the, we have the display thing there, and you can look at all the businesses, and you can pick up brochures, and we can talk to you about what's going on or our next training opportunity or what we have. But stop by and say hi. And don't forget, there are opportunities now. And if you're thinking about starting something, COVID was negative in a lot of ways, but it did bring some new ways of doing things, Zoom and virtual meetings. We now know we could do business around the country.
Absolutely.
We can live in this amazing place and do business in New York City just because of Zoom, which nobody had really much, I didn't even want to get a Zoom account, and I finally did it.
But it certainly wasn't as quality as what it became.
Exactly. Started out a little rough.
But now you've got multiple services doing that.
You do.
And it opens up so much possibility.
Right, and we're all seeing that. The other thing is funding. While, there's the money through the federal government and the state, there are grants available. There was a grant open for small businesses, brand new entrepreneurs who were developing a business in science and technology. There was grant money for that. There are opportunities because people want to see businesses get going. Everybody wants to see the economy start going again.
Right.
So there are opportunities out there. So just, reach out to us and we'll get you connected with who you need to reach, who you need to call so you can get started on what you want to do.
Well, you're a huge advocate for our businesses, for our people, for the community, and thank you for continuing to grow what you said earlier. The Chamber had to transition in order to remain relevant during a time where we couldn't be social face-to-face, and I want to congratulate you. I think you did a very good job, and I know you've expanded your vision from what it was, prior to your term there. So
thank you.
Thanks for your work.
Yes, my pleasure.
Well, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Mayor's Table. We hope you learned a lot about what's going on here locally and are feeding into that passion and optimism that Jamie and I certainly share for the road ahead for Farmington. So we'll see you next time. Stay tuned. We'll be back right here on the Mayor's Table.